After 16 long years, Double Fine Productions has finally released their sequel to 2005's Psychonauts, Psychonauts 2. And with an unpredictable story, hilarious dialogue, memorable characters, unique landscapes, and addicting gameplay, Psychonauts 2 has easily become one of my favorite games of 2021. I'm Matt Move the Joystick, and this is our review of Psychonauts 2. So full disclosure, I missed out on the first Psychonauts game, but when I found out I would be reviewing Psychonauts 2, I quickly did research and watched gameplay videos just to try to get myself familiar with the series. But come to find out, you actually don't need to do all of that if you've never played the game. That's because Psychonauts 2 has a recap. So as soon as the game starts, it recaps everything that happened in the first Psychonauts game. So you get to meet the characters, find out a little bit about the abilities, and then boom, get right into the story. And in that story, we find out that it's only been 3 days after the events of Psychonauts 1. Dr. Lobato is with the Psychonauts, and they are currently interrogating him to try to figure out who he works for. Come to find out, though, it's someone a lot worse than anybody could have possibly anticipated. Now, I won't spoil the game and tell you who exactly everyone is, but I will tell you that early on in the game, they do reveal who the biggest threat of the game is, and that is the sinister psychic Maligula. When the Psychonauts find out about Maligula, they uncover a plot to restore her back to life in order to, I guess, take over the world, essentially. That's not completely explained, but it's one of those things where you kind of figure out it is to take over the world, essentially. And also they uncover that there is a mole within the Psychonauts. The game becomes a whole big whodunit mystery along with a race against time. And in that, you get to meet a whole lot of really interesting and fun characters at the Motherlobe, which is the headquarters of the Psychonauts. Unfortunately, Raz doesn't become a Psychonaut to start with. Instead, he becomes part of the intern program. And it's there that we actually get to meet a lot of the new characters in the game. And these interns are absolutely ruthless with Raz half the time. A lot of the things that Raz got away with in the first Psychonauts game, yeah, these kids do not let him get away with pretty much anything. I will say though about the interns, they do play a pretty fun and interesting role early on in the game, but it does feel like midway through the game they're kind of forgotten in a way. You see them from time to time, but they don't really make a comeback until toward the later parts of the game. Another great part of Psychonauts 2 is the fact that you get to meet Raz's family. In Psychonauts 1, they reference the Aquados quite a few times just in terms of backstory for Raz, and at a certain part I do believe you got to meet Raz's father. But in Psychonauts 2, you get to meet the whole family, and you get to find out what the consequences were of Raz leaving to join the Psychonauts. You find out that even though it's just been 3 days in the game, there are a lot of hurt feelings, and a lot of the family members do not enjoy the fact that he left. In fact, some of them call him traitor, and there's a lot of other issues with how they treat psychics and everything like that. So it does become a very interesting part of the game, seeing how this family dynamic heals over time. I can't say enough great things about Psychonauts 2 storyline. It's just so wonderful. I left there with a giant grin on my face, straight up ear to ear, because the whole game itself, the storyline, is just so fun. The amazing characters that you meet along the way, and the different scenarios and situations that you guys go under, and the worlds and landscapes that you explore are just so memorable and absolutely fun. Plus, I mean, it is probably some of the funniest dialogue that I've experienced in gaming ever. Like, I mean, South Park was probably the last time that I was laughing as much as I was. But it's different because in Psychonauts 2, the humor is clever and it's witty, but it's just so very much enjoyable. Now, Psychonauts is known for being weird and funny and outlandish and just a little kooky and crazy at times. And that's exactly what Psychonauts 2 is. But more than that, I left feeling like Psychonauts 2 was more of a game of healing than anything else, with kind of a humor being part of the side course. It's just Psychonauts 2 explores a lot of mental health issues than I think any other game I've ever experienced. Because of the fact that they're able to go into people's minds, and you're able to see different traumas, and you get this like feeling of closure for a lot of issues and a lot of emotional baggage that people have. And I really love that about Psychonauts 2, is that there was just this overall message of healing, that it's okay to feel how you feel, and it gets better over time. And I think more games need to explore that, and I'm glad that Psychonauts 2 did. Switching gears over to gameplay now, one of the best parts of Psychonauts 2 is the level design. Because this game takes place inside people's minds, you get to experience a lot of very unique levels, and a lot of levels that I just never saw coming. It's because the game tries to highlight the fact that we all see things in a different point of view, in a different aspect. And as such, it makes for some really fun gameplay experiences, and really, really memorable ones at that. For instance, you experience rolling around on a bowling ball. You go through this psychedelic rainbow world that I assume was stripped out of the pages of Woodstock. You even have this like water world that is supposed to be symbolic of like alcoholism and everything like that. The whole game is just so innovative with its level design, and no two levels ever felt the same, and I love that about it. It was an absolute blast to play because it was very unpredictable. You never knew what was coming next. And while we're talking about gameplay, let's talk about combat mechanics. Psychonauts 2 has a really great combat system. It's really fun, it's explosive, and it's fast-paced at times. Also, I mean, it does kind of feel a little dangerous in different moments because there were a lot of times where I didn't feel like I was going to get out of a particular situation. One of the great parts of Psychonauts 2 is the fact that all the abilities that you learned in Psychonauts 1, or seemingly all of them that you learned, are available to you at the beginning of Psychonauts 2. Because, I mean, it's only been 3 days, you should definitely remember them, but too many games try to do that weird thing where they make you forget and have to relearn all your abilities again. Psychonauts 2 doesn't really do that. You learn new abilities as you go along, but the ones that you got from camp are the ones that you start out with. Also, every single one of those abilities does serve a purpose both inside combat and outside of combat. It may not feel like it at first, but as you play the game, every single one of those mechanics does have a purpose, and it's really fun to see. Also, Psychonauts 2 has some of the coolest boss battles ever. Like, I'm sure you've seen so far in some of these clips in this video, different little boss battles. I mean, you can tell which ones are the boss battles and which ones are not. But they are so innovative, so much fun, and so cool. And they do make you think a lot of the times of what you need to do to get out of that predicament. Overall, I absolutely adore Psychonauts 2. The storyline was just chef's kiss. It was perfect. It was amazing. I honestly can't really find any real flaws in the story itself. There were a couple of issues here and there with like maybe different cinematics abruptly ending, or maybe the frustration of like switching abilities here and there. I was playing on a keyboard on a PC, so that can be a little cumbersome at times. But the game itself was just such a memorable and wonderful experience. I loved all of the different collectibles, the different side quests. The leveling system was really easy to learn, all of that. Overall, though, just the game itself is one that I feel like everyone does need to play. It's by far my favorite Xbox exclusive game, and it's one of my favorite games of 2021, and one that I would wholeheartedly suggest. But that's it. That's our review for Psychonauts 2. Let us know what you think about the game in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications on more game reviews and other tech reviews. I'm Matt Move the Joystick. Thank you so much for watching.